Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. This is a special Friday edition, May 20th. It's Black-Eyed Susan and Pimlico Special Day at Pimlico. Preakness, of course, coming up on Saturday, and we'll have a podcast for Saturday's races as well. Tom Leach here along with Jonathan Fowler from Keeneland Select, and we'll take a look at the Pick 5 races, all of them stakes, and it starts with the Grade 3 Pimlico Special. Horse Noble Bird that ran second in the Ben Ally here. Got the horses that ran 1-2 in the Charlestown Classic. To start the Pick 5, Jonathan, where did you land?
Yeah, this is a kind of an interesting race with Noble Bird there. I think he's kind of your horse that you're not sure what to do with. He ran a very awful race in the Ali Sheba, broke poorly, looked rank throughout. Le Peru chose to kind of keep him towards the pack, kind of where he ended up when he broke out of the gate, so I don't know if he necessarily liked that, because he's a horse that mostly does well being close to the pace. So I don't know if they'll choose to change up their strategy this time. So with that being said, I'm going to put him in there just because I think he is a very quality horse. Paige McKinney and Stanford, I believe those are two horses that you also have to include. Stanford has rebounded very well coming into this year, and he really showed his class in the Charleston Classic last time out. It's a very weirdly run race anyway, being at Charlestown. It seems like they just go around that track 6 times. But I think he definitely showed some class there. Paige McKinney ran on very well throughout that race as well. He also really likes Pimlico, so I'm leaving that horse in. So I wanted to make a solid stance here and actually just single Stanford, but I just couldn't do it. So in here, I'm going to use 1 Paige McKinney, 2 Stanford, and 7 Noble Bird for my 3 choices here.
I ended up going to Noble Bird. I love this horse in the Ali Sheba at Churchill. We had the Keeneland Select Appreciation Day back in April, and Norm Cassie, the assistant trainer, said that Noble Bird was kind of a race short when he ran in the Ben Ally because of a subpar effort out at Oaklawn, and I thought third off the layoff, he was going to be sitting pretty, and as you said, just a horrible trip. So I'm just going to draw a line through that. This is a Grade 1 winner, and third off the layoff here, now he goes. So I like Noble Bird a lot in this particular spot. Got to use him with the 2 you mentioned, Stanford and Paige McKinney. If you want to add one more, Golden Glint, but I would make Noble Bird the key for my exactas. The 8th race starts the Pick 4. It's the Jim McKay Turf Sprint, 5 furlongs for 3-year-olds and up. And I think the distance is the key here for Rocket Heat. And I like this horse a lot, and I hope they make Ben's Cat the favorite as he is on the morning line. Great story with Ben's Cat, but he's 10 now, and this horse, Rocket Heat, is 4. Ran 5.5 at Keeneland and hot pace and came up a little short. Got back to 5 furlongs at Churchill and was sensational. And if he can run back to that, I like that Flavian Pratt stays on as the rider. This looked like a breakout performance at Churchill for a 4-year-old who's back at the 5 furlong distance. And so I like Rocket Heat in here, and then I would use him and Ben's Cat in the Pick 4. And if you're playing exactas within this race, Rocket Heat's the win for me, and I would key him with Ben's Cat and Night Officer. What about you?
Yeah, you really can't go much deeper than those 3, and Rocket Heat was sensational at Churchill. He runs that race again, and I don't think Ben's Cat really has a chance. But you run into these horses that love the surfaces, and Ben's Cat certainly likes the surface with 6 wins and 10 starts, and definitely likes the distance too. Loves this 5 furlong distance. I don't think there's going to be a lot of speed that's going to challenge Rocket Heat, so he's going to get out and just and book it from the get-go. So he might actually be my single here. I'm going to try to investigate this a little bit more. Right now I'm leaving Ben's Cat in there. So using the 2-7 only in my Pick 4 ticket, but it might come down to where I just single Rocket Heat as a last-minute chance. But for right now, I'll put 2-7 with the chance of actually maybe singling 7 Rocket Heat in this one.
9th race is the Grade 3 DuPont Distaff for fillies and mares, 3 and up, going a mile and an eighth. By the way, you may have heard that it's supposed to rain for Preakness Day. Thursday and Friday up there is supposed to be gorgeous. So it should be a fast track for these races that we're talking about on the Black-Eyed Susan Day card. The DuPont Distaff has attracted a pretty good-sized field, and I thought well-matched. I didn't have a strong opinion here. Where did you land?
I think there's definitely a couple key horses in here. The number 4, Mei Ling, she's the speed of this race. She may get some challenges from a couple others, but she's the quality speed of the race. Pletcher trained. John Velasquez gets aboard. He's ridden her in the past, but not here recently. She was tight second last time in the top flight, so I think she's going to be a pretty stubborn horse on the lead. Chocolate, she's a horse that, just doesn't win consecutively a whole lot. She has 4 wins and 11 starts, but they don't come often very close to one another. So she may be rounding back into form. I think she's a horse you kind of need to take a look at. And then on the outside, Tiger Ridge. This is a horse that intrigues me a little bit. She won the Valley View at Keeneland back in October. That was a Grade 3 event. She was coming, from off the pace that day. She opened the season well in the inside information. She finished second to Stone-tastic. Came in the Jenny Wiley on the turf. Didn't really like that. So coming back at this 1.125 distance, I think she's going to like it. So at 8-1 on the morning line, I'm going to throw her in there as well. So I'm going to use, I think what's going to be 2 of the top horses, Mei Ling and Chocolate, but also going to throw Tiger right in there as well.
I ended up going to Chocolate in here for the win pick, but not a real strong feeling. I did like the fact that she'd run well here in the Black-Eyed Susan last year, finished third. A little wide last time at Keeneland, so that maybe would have contributed to her not being able to get up in the Double Dog Dare. This third start off the layoff. Brian Hernandez comes in to keep the mount, so I like all of those things. So a shaky pick for Chocolate, and then I'm going to spread out. And ones you mentioned, I certainly could have put on here too. I was tempted to almost say all in terms of a pick 4, but the Ogeny, the 1, the 2 Engagingly, the 6 Savings Account. And then the other one I'm going to throw in is the 9 Super Majesty. Nothing on the form that suggests this horse should be used, but it's the second start for Asmussen, and he ships her up to Pimlico to run in this race, so he has to go out of his way to get her there, and she's never been this far, and it just seems kind of an odd placement, and so when a smart guy does something kind of unconventional, I think it's worth taking note of, so I'm going to throw Super Majesty on there just in case she hits at a big price. But Chocolate's the the shaky win pick for me. 10th race is the Hilltop 3-year-old fillies on the turf going 1 mile and a 16th. Started to go to Spin-A-Miss here, and then I changed to Family Meeting. Went back and looked at her last race, and she was running against the boys, and she was kind of locked in to a spot down on the rail, couldn't get out of. By the time she got clear, they had just sprinted away from her, and I think the race is a little better than it looks on paper. I like the fact that Gary Stevens takes the ride. Proctor and Stevens have won some big races together, and I like the fact that Proctor reaches out to his man Gary Stevens for this ride on a big day. So I'm going to take the 6 Family Meeting in here, but I would use her certainly with Spin-A-Miss, Kaola Queen, Miss Katie May, and maybe even Gone Away, and I would use all 5 of those for the pick 4, and if you can afford it in the pick 5 as well. How about you?
Yeah, I think this is where you need to go a little bit deep in here, and can't say much more about Spin-A-Miss and Family Meeting. I think those are 2 of your top horses in here. My outside pick would be the 13 Princess by coming out of the Ben Colbrook barn. I don't know if what this horse will actually do here. I've been looking, but what I liked about is seeing that early pace presence. I don't see a ton of it in this race. It's hard for me to actually kind of choose who might be your top speed in this race, but I like that she's going to have that early pace presence. She is breaking from the outside from the 13 hole, but if you look at the configuration of this racetrack, she's going to have a long stretch to kind of move over from the 13 hole and position over. So I did like that about her. Also, the 12-1 looks very nicely as well. So I'm not intrigued by the number 14, Wessex, who is coming off a maiden win down at Gulfstream at 8-1. That doesn't impress me too much, but it is intriguing that Bill Mott throws her in here into a stakes right off a maiden win. So that's pretty daring. So take that into note just in case I'm absolutely wrong. But for me in here, it will be Spin-A-Miss, along with Family Meeting and Princess.
11th race is the Grade 2 Black-Eyed Susan. It wraps up the All-Stakes Pick 4 and All-Stakes Pick 5. 3-year-old fillies going 1 mile and an 1/8, just like the Kentucky Oaks. And you've got horses that finished in the top 4 in the Oaks. Runner-up Land Over Sea in here, and 4th-place finisher Go Maggie Go, headlining the field for the Black-Eyed Susan. How did you see it?
I think, your top two horses in here are going to be the toughest. However, they're both looks to be coming from off the pace, that being Landover Sea and Go Maggie Go. These are the finishers coming out of the Kentucky Oaks, second and fourth. Landover Sea has just raced against, some incredible fillies, done some very nice things. I think she'll continue to like, this 1.125 distance. She certainly seems the one, and Doug O'Neill could certainly, I could see him doing the bull right there. But Go Maggie Go is certainly, she's a horse that is definitely improving, making only her fourth lifetime start, was a solid fourth in the Oaks, so she can definitely move up. I think she's definitely one to include there. My outside horse is the number 10, Kinsley Kisses. This is a horse, I think, once again, not a ton of pace to this race. She'll most likely either be one of those top 2 or 3 running. She does stretch out for the first time from 7 furlongs to 1.125. If you go back and watch her third-place finish in the Beaumont, she's a big filly with a nice stride to her, so I think maybe the stretch out will do very well for her. She is trained by Pletcher. Velasquez aboard again. She had a nice work at Saratoga on May 13th. So I think the stretch out is going to do well for her. So, I think she might be a sleeper in here, especially with that combination right there of Pletcher and Velasquez. But for me, I'm going to use Landover Sea, Go Maggie Go, and then for that outside shot, Kinsley Kisses.
I'm going to go back and look at that Beaumont. You make an interesting case there for Kinsley Kisses, because it can be a little tricky with horses coming back in 2 weeks off the Oaks, and they don't always fire their best race on 2 weeks. I'm going to, for the pick 4, pick 5s, go with those two, though. I think on class, they look like the ones to me. I ended up leaning to Go Maggie Go for the win pick. She had a lot of trouble in the Oaks, and I thought still ran well and finished up strong. And I think she got more tactical speed than she showed that day, and with that experience under her belt, I think she'll show it, and that tactical speed might just serve her well over Landover Sea, who I think will be farther back. I'm going to go back and look at Kinsley's Kisses. She's a warrior. Dothraki Queen were the other ones that intrigue me a little bit in here, but for the purposes of the pick 4, the pick 5, I'm going to just go with the Go Maggie Go and Landover Sea, and Go Maggie Go is the win pick. Don't forget that you can get to, if you're in the Lexington area, to the Red Mile for simulcasting, and also at Keeneland as well. Correct, Jonathan?
Correct. And don't forget that there's plenty of guarantees on both Black-Eyed Susan Day and Preakness Day, and that pick 5 is a $300,000 guarantee for Friday. So there's plenty of great wagering options. Definitely head out to the Red Mile. They'll have lots of activities on both Friday and Saturday.
And if you can't get out to those locations or the one nearest you, if you're not in the Lexington area, then make sure you keep your Keeneland Select account fully funded, and you can play the races that way. Best of luck on Black-Eyed Susan Day. We'll be back with another podcast for the Saturday Preakness Day card here at KeenelandSelect.com.